Hello everyone. So in the first video, we talked about the Continental Drift Theory, which was proposed by Alfred Wegener in the year of 1912. So in the first video, we basically talked about the theory that he gave, and secondly, we also talked about different postulates that he propounded or that he assumed in order to give his theory. Now in this video, we are going to talk about different evidences that he suggested or he gave in order to substantiate his claim about the theory. Fine. So this video, we are going to deal with only the evidences. The first evidence that he gave was called as your jigsaw fitting. Jigsaw fitting of coastlines. Now what is this jigsaw fitting? Now he said that there are different continents which are separated from each other as it was moving in the northward as well as in the westward direction. For example, as the continent was moving in the northward direction, he told that the Africa and South America broke from each other, and if you look at the coastline of the South Atlantic Ocean, that is your west coast of Africa, fit directly into the eastern coast of America or South America. Look at this diagram first. Now if this is your South America, and this here we have the presence of Africa, and here in between the South America and Africa, we have the presence of South Atlantic Ocean. Now if you look at South America, here we have the presence of the Brazilian highlands. And here we have the Cape of Sao Roque. Now if you look at the west coast of Africa, here we have the presence of the Guinea coast. Now this jigsaw fitting example that he gave was that, now if you look at the Brazilian highland coast as well as the Cape of Sao Roque, if you look at Africa, the Guinea coast, now if you move Africa and put it here, it totally fits the coastline of South America. So he said that as this fit here, he told that these two continents, that is your South America and South Africa, in the initial years or in the past was part of this same continent. Now as this continent or the larger continent or the supercontinent which was moving in the northwest direction, Africa broke off from South America. So this is one of the examples of jigsaw fitting which was given by Alfred Wegener. The second example under here he gave was about your Africa. Now look at this diagram. Now if you look at the east coast of Africa now, here we have the presence of Mozambique. And here we have an island which everyone knows is your Madagascar. Now if you look at the west part of Madagascar and the eastern part of Mozambique, he told that here too there is presence of jigsaw fitting between these two land masses. So this was another example which was given by Alfred Wegener under jigsaw fitting of a coastline. Now as these two fit together, he said that these were initially part of the same continent, but as it was moving in the northward as well as the westward direction, it broke off from each other. Fine. So this is the first example or the evidence that he gave in order to substantiate his theory. Now let us look at the second evidence that he tried to give. Now this second evidence, he is talking about structural matching. Now this structural matching, under this we have different categories like rock structure or rock types. Then we also have rock alignment. And we also have evidences with regards to coal in terms of quality as well as alignment. Now what is here he is trying to say? Now if you look at temperate region in region in your northern hemisphere, here we have the presence of America or North America. Here we have an island here which is called as your Newfoundland. Then we have the presence of UK here, and in the eastern part of in the eastern part of UK, here we have the presence of the Scandinavia region or Europe as a whole. Fine. So this is your North America, this is Newfoundland, here we have the Europe. Now there are different mountain ranges which are present in North America, Newfoundland, UK as well as in Europe. For example, in North America if you look, here we have the presence of Appalachian Mountains. Then here we also have another mountains in your Newfoundland. Then in UK, especially in England, here we have the presence of Pennine Mountains. Then here in Scandinavia, here we have the presence of Jylland Mountains. Now with the help of this, what was he trying to say? He told that if you look at the rock which is present in the Appalachian, rocks which are found in Newfoundland, rocks which are found in your Pennine Mountains as well as in your Scottish Highlands as well as in the Jylland Mountains, the rock quality and the rock alignment is similar. Okay, so the rocks which are found in Appalachian has similar characteristics as that found in Newfoundland, Pennine as well as the Jylland Mountains. So this goes on to show what? This shows that these rocks were initially part of your same continent. This is the first example. Second, he talked about is your rock alignment. Now what does he mean by rock alignment? Now if you look at the Appalachian, now this Appalachian is extending into Newfoundland, then it is extending into the Pennines and the Scottish Highlands, and then it is extending into the Jylland Mountains. Now this forms an arc. Fine. Now when will it have an arc? Only if all these land masses were initially part of the same continent. So this was another example which was given by Wegener. Now if you are talking about coal here, he also said that the coals which are found in Appalachian, Pennines and the Jylland Mountains are also of the same quality or of the same characteristics as well as the alignment. Now alignment can be found with the help of this diagram. If you look at it, is forming an arc. Thus it means what? These mountains were part of the same continent but it broke off eventually. Fine. So this was another example. So till now we have discussed two different types of evidences. First is your jigsaw fitting of different coastlines. For example, your South America and Africa. Then we also have your Madagascar fitting the coastline of Mozambique. Secondly, he talked about your structural matching in terms of rock types, rock quality, rock alignment as well as coal quality and coal alignment. Fine. Then the third example that he gave was related to fossil studies. Now what is this fossil studies? Now Wegener took example of two important fossils. One was Lystrosaurus and then Mesosaurus. Now these two, Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus, are fossils of reptiles. Not any reptiles but reptiles of shallow waters. Now if you look at South America and Africa again, now let me draw it again. South America, Africa. Fine. Now if you look at the fossil evidences, Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus, Wegener said, and it is substantiated with scientific claims, that fossils of Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus is found along the eastern coast of South America, but these Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus fossils are also found along your west coast of Africa. Now if you look at these fossils, these are fossils of what? These are fossils of reptiles of shallow waters. Now Wegener said that if Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus are found here, how can it be found here? It can only be found both in South America and in Africa only if they were once part of the same continent, because since these are reptiles of shallow waters, it was impossible for these reptiles to travel through the Atlantic Ocean. Fine. Since these reptiles cannot travel the distance of the Atlantic as they were reptiles of shallow waters, it meant what? It meant that Africa and South America were once part of the same continent. As it broke off, these Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus are found both in South America as well as Africa. Fine. So this was the evidence that was given to him in terms of fossil studies. Now the last example that he gave was related to paleoclimatic evidence. Now what is this paleoclimatic evidence? Now here he talked about two important aspects. Number one, he talked about the presence of coal in temperate regions. Now what do I mean by temperate regions? It includes America, that is the Appalachians where the coal is found, and this was told where? In the example of structural matching. So this coal or the best quality coal in this whole world is found in your temperate regions, that is your Appalachians, and it is also found in your Ruhr Valley, which is in Germany. Now if you know geography well, you will also know that the formation of coal requires hot and humid climate along with dense forest. Fine. So how can then they be found in the temperate region? Now hot and humid climate along with dense forest can be found where? It can be found only in your tropical regions. So coal formation is possible where? It is possible only in your tropical regions. Then how come it is found in your temperate regions? Now if you look at this diagram here, he said that the continents were once present in your southern hemisphere where tropical climate was found, which was around 23.5 degrees south. Fine. So these continents were having a northward movement. Now as these continents moved northward, what happened? It came into the temperate region here. So when this land mass was in the southern hemisphere and in the tropical region, which was around 23.5 degrees south, coal formation took place then in the tropical region. Now as these continents move northward to the temperate region, which is around 66.5 degree north. Fine. So what happened here? Coal formation took place when it was around 23.5 degrees south. As these continents moved in the temperate region, this is the reason why we have the evidence of coal in your temperate regions in northern hemisphere. So this was the first thing he talked about, evidence of coal or the paleoclimatic evidences. Fine. Second thing he talked about, glacial striations. Glacial striations are nothing but stretch marks. Now Wegener said that glacial striations were found in tropical regions like Talcher. Now where is this Talcher? Talcher is a place in Odisha. So this Talcher or Odisha as a whole is found where? It is found in your tropical regions. Then how come in tropical regions we have examples or evidences of glacial striations or stretch marks? So he said that Talcher or Odisha was initially present in your temperate region. Fine. If this landmass was present here in your 66.5 degrees south. Fine. So this landmass was initially in your temperate region in the southern hemisphere. So here what happened? Glacial striations took place in this landmass. As this landmass moved to 23.5 degree north around here, this is the reason why we have evidences of glacial striations in the tropical regions also. Fine. So these are the main examples which were given by Wegener in order to substantiate his theory. What was it? Number one, we talked about the jigsaw fitting of the coastlines. Secondly, we talked about structural matchings, which is found in your temperate regions like your North America, then in your Jilin Mountains, which is in Scandinavia, then Pennine Mountains and the Scottish Highlands, as well as your Newfoundland. Third example, we talked about your fossil studies. He took examples of two important fossils, that is your Lystrosaurus and Mesosaurus, and these two fossils are of reptiles of shallow waters. Being shallow waters means what? They cannot travel the distance of Atlantic, as a result of which what was the conclusion? That they were initially part of the same continent, that is your South America and Africa. As it broke off, we had evidences of fossils in both South America as well as in Africa. And lastly, he talked about the paleoclimatic evidences like the formation of coal. Here, one thing that is very important to remember here is that coal is formed only in tropical regions where hot and humid and dense forests are found, but the best quality in this whole world is found in your temperate regions, because they were once in the tropical region but moved northward towards your temperate regions. Secondly, he talked about Talcher, which is in Odisha, where evidences of glacial striation happened, meaning what? Meaning Talcher was initially present in a landmass which was in the temperate region where cold climatic conditions prevailed, as a result of which glacial striations took place. Then it moved northward to the tropical region, and hence we in tropical regions in Talcher we have examples of glacial striations. Fine. So these are the different evidences which were given by Wegener in order to substantiate his theory of continental drift theory. Thank you.